Chapter 64. The Principle of Cause, Action, Consequence in Creation. I teach you all, and with the same love I teach you, who are unfair and who are fair. Only those unfair neglect my teaching and carry on with their devotion to outer attractions instigated by their mind. They ignore my words and do not believe them. But I do know what I speak of, for I had been even before this world was, before all the other worlds of my universe were created. I have created all these worlds and life on it, and I am aware of the manner in which it must develop, and even the hardships that torment your world at the moment are temporary. They shall all be overcome, for I do know they shall be overcome together with the Father, who governs this whole universe. And there is the principle of cause, action, consequence operating within the whole of creation that puts everything in array. Even you, some of you, begin to understand that the drugs, weapons, alcohol, tobacco, gambling have brought very painful consequences to many people who have even lost their lives. However, prior to losing their lives, they have absolutely ignored the manifestation of this very principle of cause, action, consequence in the life of every individual, nation, race, humanity, and the universe. If someone ignores this principle, it does not mean it ceases to work. If man closes his eyes in the daylight, this does not make the daylight disappear. No one can stop the operation of this principle throughout creation, even the Father. The stoppage of this principle would destroy the composition of all creation, its development, and would annihilate the Father himself. But this simply cannot happen because the Father is live and he is the first source and center. And it is he who is the source of love, pouring it out throughout creation uniformly. He is also the source of free will to personalities. He bestows free will upon all personalities, upon the highest and the lowest, and each personality can get saturated with the Father's love as much as it is capable of opening up to this very same love. Getting saturated with love and feeling it within one's personality is the consequence of possessing free will received by this personality from the Father, which comprises the cause for this personality's opening up to the Father's love already present within that personality. And when there is free will as the cause, and when the action is the personality's opening up to the Father, the consequence shall be the feeling of the love of the Father within this personality. Causes, actions, consequences are the ceaseless manifestations of this very principle connected to an endless chain of the system of all creation. Having performed any action, right away ponder the causes of that action performed as to why you have behaved this way. What has made you behave this way? Love, ego, fear, the lack of knowledge, intimidation, violence, wisdom, father, homily, desire for career, for money, for the pleasures to your flesh, duty, friendship, striving for the truth, jealousy, revenge, sympathy, mercy, a creative flight, a desire for popularity, the life environment, the morals, the conscience, colleagues, classmates, neighbors, your birth of the spirit, the influence of books or information, or a multitude of any other different causes. Even the actions you consider to be automatic, such as sudden pulling of one's finger off a hot pot, is the cause of that which your brain information center, having instantaneously felt the pain, has sent an impulse, an information signal to your muscles through the nerve channel at that very instant to pull the finger off the hot pot, and the muscles have carried out this command instantaneously. Your mind has registered all this on the level of subconsciousness rather than on the level of consciousness. And it is due to this that your brain managed to receive the signal, make its decision, and send its decision to the muscles, and they carried it out that quickly. But even in this action, the principle of cause, action, consequence is also operating. The touching of the hot pot was the cause for the brain to receive a nerve signal of the pain, and due to this, it made its decision to remove the finger away from the pot to eliminate the unacceptable nerve signal of pain. And this decision making by the brain is the action provoked by the cause of the pain impulse, and at the same time, the sending of this decision to the muscles is the consequence of the action of making the decision to send the signal. Meanwhile, this very channeling of the decision signal from the brain through the peripheral nerve cells of the muscles that are clever enough to react to the command by the higher center and make their own decision to remove the finger from the hot pot is the cause for removing the finger off the pot. Therefore, each cause produces a decision action, and this decision action produces a consequence that again is a new cause for a new action and for a new consequence. However unimportant a cause or insignificant an action or minor a consequence might be, it is only according to your understanding that it winds up the process. No, right away all this is connected to the manifestation of the principle of cause, action, consequence throughout creation. Even though you have not performed any material action visible to your eyes that you tend to consider as an action, yet you have generated a thought in your mind, and by this you have already produced each such a cause under the influence of which there shall be performed an action, and another thought shall spring up within you, and that will lead to the consequences in your own inner selves. You, any one of you, cannot escape the operation of this principle of creation. The vibrations of your consciousness are real, and they are being emanated by you into the environment around you and even throughout creation. Therefore, by low vibrations of your consciousness, you impede the smooth development of millions upon millions of your brethren to make this only law of the Father's love dominant amongst people, the operation of which would provide you such a bliss from within that the manifestation of the principle of cause, action, consequence would enlighten you and bring you closer to the Father, and not the other way around leading you to lower and meaner actions of your own ego. Therefore, your actions against the law of the Father's love produce an enormous anguish and suffering, intellectual and physical, within yourselves, whenever you consolidate the manifestation of the principle of cause, action, consequence in these low vibrations of your activity that are generated by the profit-motivated economy. Walking on this path, you shall never reach your inner peace, either those of you who are at the top and who are ruling your slaves of the modern times, that are nobody else but your brethren, or those of you who are at the bottom in the position of slaves. For neither of the two sides has the Father's love manifestation in its daily living, in your thoughts, in your hearts, in your souls. You are missing a connecting spiritual link in the chain of your interrelationship. You do not have among yourselves a relationship of spiritual love experienced within your souls, of the loving Father who indwells each of you. Some of you desire more material wealth, and thus you generate your thoughts on how to increase your possessions by exploiting your brethren. Others think about how they are severely oppressed by those at the top, so that they cannot even put both ends together. You do not treat each other as your brethren, and you do not look upon each other as your brethren, because you have not discovered the Father within yourselves. You have not experienced the Father's love. You are orphans, since you do not have the Father within your hearts, even though you speak out nice words about him. Words are no more than symbols, while the experience of the Father's love by each of you personally is your soul's living relationship with the whole environment, with the Father's other children and creation, and with your environment, with nature.